Axiom 4లో భాగంగా నాసా ఇస్రో కలిసి కీలక మిషన్ చేపట్టాయి. డ్రాగన్ స్పేస్ క్రాఫ్ట్ ఇంటర్నేషనల్ స్పేస్ స్టేషన్ డాకింగ్ ప్రక్రియ పూర్తయింది. ఐఏఎస్తో ఫాల్కన్ 9 వ్యోమనౌక విజయవంతంగా అనుసంధానమైంది. శుభాంశు శుక్ల సహా 4 వ్యోమగాములు అంతరిక్ష పరిశోధన కేంద్రంలోకి వెళ్లారు. 28 గంటల ప్రయాణం తర్వాత స్పేస్ డ్రాగన్ ఐఎస్ఎస్ చేరుకుంది. అంతరిక్షంలో వ్యోమగాములు 14 రోజుల పాటు ఉంటారు. ఐఎస్ఎస్లో శుభాంశు శుక్ల బృందం కీలక ప్రయోగాలు చేస్తారు. ఇప్పుడు లైవ్ చూద్దాం.
To take commercial crews from around the world to the International Space Station. Then in September of 2024, the Polaris Dawn mission delivered the first commercial spacewalk. And most recently in March, Dragon supported the From 2 and NASA Crew 10 missions. From that first crew mission in May 2020 all the way through today, Dragon has supported 17 human spaceflight missions and flown 66 crew members representing 17 countries.
Yeah, you know, Paul, it's
overall, Dragon has flown 52 missions, really carrying over 300,000 pounds of cargo to space. In the history of human spaceflight, fewer than 700 people have ever been to orbit. At SpaceX, we want to help create a future where not just hundreds of people, but thousands and ultimately millions of people can travel off Earth to live and work in space and on other planets.
Each of those missions you just mentioned represent truly significant firsts that have helped shape this generation of human spaceflight. And at Axiom Space, we've had the opportunity to provide foundational firsts as well. Working with SpaceX and NASA on all 3 of our orbital spaceflight missions to date,
I love it.
To fully appreciate the progress being made together,
right now
it's worth noting that our 3 flights have helped provide greater access and set new precedents worldwide for private astronaut missions aboard the International Space Station.
This moment
all within the last 4 years.
They are going to enter.
I'd love to take a quick look back
space
at just a few of these.
You've mentioned this already a little bit, but I'd love to just kind of unpack
that some more. On April 8th, 2022, just over 3 years ago, Axiom Mission 1 launched aboard Dragon Endeavour on a mission that would span 17 days on orbit, with 15 days of those on board the International Space Station.
Think about the
led by Commander Michael Lopez Alegria, the crew facilitated 26 research payloads and participated in over 30 STEAM events. Beyond the onboard science efforts, this mission was a pivotal moment for the community at large, serving as a proof of concept for how private operations could be conducted on the orbiting lab in conjunction with the expedition crews living aboard the International Space Station. This was the next step in human spaceflight collaboration. So this was followed up a little over a year later by Axiom Mission 2, which launched aboard Dragon Freedom.
For awareness, we are cycling the orbit tank isolation valve to equalize low flow pressure.
And make your life.
Hear and sense.
I believe that may be all for that. I'll pick up where we were. So Commander Peggy Whitson led American John Schaffner and 2 Saudi Arabian national astronauts, Ali Al-Qarni and Rayana Barnawi, on a 10-day mission outside our atmosphere with over 8 days aboard the orbiting laboratory. And over the course of their 126 orbits, they conducted 26 research efforts and participated in 20 STEAM events. This became the first private mission with government-sponsored astronauts. And last year, in January of 2024, we conducted Axiom Mission 3, which saw Commander Michael Lopez Alegria once again lead a crew to the station. This was our longest flight to date, at over 21 days, covering 346 orbits. The crew spent over 18 days on station and worked with 54 payloads, conducted 28 STEAM engagements. Flying once again on Dragon Freedom, this was the first all-European astronaut mission to the International Space Station. And here we are today. With Axiom Mission 4, we add a projected 14 more days of operational flight heritage and make possible an additional 60 research payloads. Each of these flights builds on the one that came before it, certainly, but it also is meant to open up access to low Earth orbit just a little bit more, providing opportunities for more nations and organizations than ever before to participate in human spaceflight. It's the fact that now 11 nations have been represented across our flights that speaks to the success of missions like these.
We visited with the crew of AX4 to get their thoughts on what our collective future in space looks like.
A few safety things that we go through with the ISS commander where they'll tell us some things that, of course, they
I
haven't
believe
learned
that
in the
SpaceX
mock-ups
and
again, but
Axiom
now
Space are
this is
serving
for
as
real. These are where things
pathfinders
are
for what
located. This is what we
commercial
expect you to
space
do
is going to
if
be in
this
the
or that goes
future.
wrong. And then really it's
It is
off
like
to
a paradigm
work. We start
shift in how
transferring a lot of
we
cargo
used to
out
think
of the
about
ISS.
space.
Most
And
of that will
companies
be to
like
support
SpaceX, Axiom
various
Space
scientific
are
experiments that we're
doing
bringing on
things
board.
that entire countries have
And then
done
our
in the
lives
past.
get ruled by what we
SpaceX
call
is a
the
crucial
Optimus
partner
viewer,
that
which is
allows
basically a
us
moving
to go
map
to the
of
International
your
Space Station.
schedule from
In general,
the
space
time
is a
you
big
wake
team
up to the
sport,
time you
and
go
that
to bed.
collaboration offers
And it's
more
pretty
and more
hectic. You know,
possibilities
you've
to
got,
explore.
in this case,
In our
14
case, this is the
days to
Dragon
get a
capsule and the
lot of
Falcon
stuff
9
done.
rocket. In the future, it might be
Every
different
detail
solutions.
is
It has
pre-programmed
been
by
5
the
years
teams
now
on the
that
ground working
SpaceX
with
has been
NASA.
sending humans to space.
And we really
We are
have
using SpaceX technology
an
because we know
effort
that it's
to
safe
try
and
to
reliable,
maintain
and
that
that it will
pace.
bring us safely
Obviously, it
to the
takes a
International
bit of
Space Station.
time
Not only
to
going
get
there,
accustomed
but
to
also
floating
coming back.
around, even though they've been in zero-G for
The
over a
end goal
day.
for
They haven't been
Axiom
in
is
zero-G
to have
in such a
that
big
mission and
open
presence
space.
in
And so
low Earth
moving
orbit
around,
that will enable
you've heard the
scientific
term
research,
or the phrase
technology
slow, smooth, and
demonstrations,
smooth
and
is fast.
expand what we are
They
doing
definitely
in
will be
space.
practicing
These
that.
precursor
So there's a little
missions,
bit of
like
time
the
for
Axiom 4
adaptation. There's
mission,
quite a
are
bit of
just the
time
tip
with
of
the
the
safety
iceberg
briefings that I
for
mentioned. But after
expanding
that,
in
it's
low Earth
looking
orbit
at
and way
Optimus
beyond.
viewer and really getting started.
Like we say, space has space for
LA,
everyone.
you've just mentioned
And this
that
is what
that
it means.
schedule
And
is
I think that
full,
is
and you
the
jump right on
essence
into it,
of,
trying to stay
spaceflight.
ahead of that red line in that Optimus map you mentioned. But I'm curious,
I love
just looking
Peggy's
back
comment
at
there that this is really
your
just the tip of
previous
the
mission,
iceberg.
what were some of the
International
highlights
Space
for you
Station may not
personally
last
on board the
forever,
space
but there's a
station?
lot in the works today to enable even more research and more capabilities off-planet.
Of
We've
course.
learned a lot
And so
since,
for Axiom Space,
AX1
missions
and the
like
progression
X4,
through
as we've said,
AX3,
not
and I
only
think
create
one of the
opportunities
things we
for our
learned is that we
customers to
really need
accomplish
to
their
focus
goals
the
in
commander's
microgravity,
time on
but
being
they are
available
also
to the other
invaluable
crew
in
members. So I
developing
would
our
say one of the
teams and
most
our
gratifying
systems
things
for our own
is
future
giving them
Axiom
the
Station.
time and space
When
to
the
sort
time
of
comes and the International
inhale,
Space Station reaches the end of its
exhale, think about
operational
what they're
life,
doing
SpaceX
and
for
take their
awareness,
time,
we are
because
continuing
really
troubleshooting
the
on the
planners have done a great
file
job
upload.
fitting
It
all
has
of
not
these
resolved yet.
activities into
Troubleshooting
these
is
14
continuing.
days. And there is
It's a
enough time
follow-up
to
on that
do it.
comment we had
It
earlier.
doesn't do anybody good to get flustered and upset. You just go one step at a time.
We were going
and
to keep
then
working this
letting
issue
them
in the
have a
lead up
little
to
bit of
launch.
time to look at that
So as I
window,
was
because
saying,
that
when
is
the
a view
time
that is
comes and the International Space
spectacular
Station
and
reaches the end of its
unforgettable.
operational life,
I think
SpaceX will
my
help deorbit
advice
the
to
orbiting
crew
lab.
would be,
NASA awarded
you
SpaceX a
have a
contract to
huge
develop the U.S.
responsibility.
deorbit
Your
vehicle, or
families, your
USDV, a
colleagues, your
modified
space
Dragon
agencies,
designed
your
to guide the
nations
station
are
through a
really counting
controlled
on you,
re-entry
but at the
into
same
the Earth's
time,
atmosphere
try to
to
enjoy it.
ensure that
Try
upon
to really
re-entry,
soak
the
this in.
station
This is
comes down in
generally
the
a
intended
once-in-a-lifetime
location and does it
opportunity.
safely.
And again, it's that
But
balance
before that
between,
happens,
sort
there
of
are
the
plans in place
focused,
where Axiom
hard-nailed
Space will
technical
utilize
work
the remaining
and
operational
trying to
lifetime
really
of the International
absorb
Space
the
Station to
emotional
facilitate
experience, which is
a transition
obviously
to
very
our own commercially owned and operated station.
Unique indeed.
Selected by
You just
NASA
mentioned,
in
there that there's
2020,
lessons
Axiom
to be learned
Space
that you share
is the only
out,
commercial company
with
to
each
attach its
of the
privately
crew
developed
members. And I know that you
modules
got a
to
chance
the
to do
International
that
Space
with this
Station.
crew.
And here's what this
ahead of their
transitional
launch, I
timeline
believe,
looks
in
like at this
quarantine.
point. Our
So I'm
first step
curious
will be to
if
attach
you
a
could share
module
some
to
of
the
those
station
lessons
that we call
learned
the
with us.
payload
If we were
Power Thermal
preparing to
Module,
take
or
us up
PPTM.
next,
This
what
module is
would you share
designed
with
to
us?
receive any critical hardware, payloads, or tools from the ISS
Well, the good news
that the international
is that,
community may want to
Peggy
continue
has
to
done this
utilize.
a time or two herself,
Then that
and,
will
her
undock,
crew will probably be as ready as
detaching
anybody,
from the
anyone
space
you can
station and
imagine.
rendezvous
So
with our
my
second
time with this
module,
crew
known
was
as Habitat
pretty short
Module
and
1.
pretty informal because of her experience.
Together,
and B, the
these two
training that,
modules
as
can
I
support 4
mentioned,
crew
has
members and
evolved
enable a
since AX1
host of
to the point
manufacturing
that
and
I
research
think we
efforts
have it
in
pretty well
microgravity.
showcased
From
in
there,
terms
the
of what to
station
train,
will
what not
continue to
train,
build out
and how
over the
much of each.
following years
Again,
until we
my
have built out
advice
an
to them
entire
is
Axiom
try
station,
to
as you see it there, with a second habitation module, an airlock, the open windows down below.